The atheistic people want to exploit all the resources of the material world, independent of the Lord, not caring to offer them to Lord or thank the Lord out of gratitude. And thus they accrue terrible sinful reactions and prepare a ghastly future for themselves. And if you see the karma kandis, in their mantra chant, you will see Indraya Swahaidam Namama. They know that all these things should be officially offered in a sacrifice. So they officially and dutifully offer grains and ghee and everything in the sacrifice. And they know that it is going to the Supreme, Om Tat Sat. It is going to the Supreme, but they have very little information about the Supreme. They know that everything comes from Supreme, and what I am offering, detaching it from myself, it goes to Supreme because it is a kind of tax that I have to pay to get my quota of sense gratification. So their giving is done in a very formal manner, in a manner out of duty, just like, for example, you have to pay tax to the government. Like that they may give. Plus it is done with the intention of getting enjoyment in return. So that is the karma kandis. When you go to karma yogi, Krishna says in 3.9, yajñārtād karmanaha anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. So in this way one knows that I should perform yajna and connect all my karma to Supreme, otherwise it will lead me to bondage. So in Karma Yoga, the purpose of detaching oneself from the fruits is to be saved from material bondage. A material bondage of cycle of birth and death again and again, and sufferings in the future. Because I know that if I do this without the sanction of government, then income tax will catch me, I will suffer. So I will do it with knowledge of government and pay the tax properly. That is, in this way one offers a portion of the fruits of one's activities to the Supreme, by which one wants to become free from bondage. You can see the intentions changing. In Karma Kanda, you offer the fruits officially, formally, for getting enjoyment and return. Whereas when you go to Karma Yoga, you offer a portion of the fruits to become free from material bondage. Otherwise, anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. I don't want karma bandhana. Suffering in the future, so I want to get rid of it. And then when one goes to Jnana Yoga, one has now understood thoroughly that in this material world, collecting the goods and flying up to heaven or going to hell, none of these places there is any happiness. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartinoja. So one has got the realization that this world is a place of suffering. Dukhalayam shashvatam. So the whole consciousness of somebody in the path of Jnana is to get rid of suffering. Oh, I don't want suffering, I don't want suffering. So neti, I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this intelligence, I am not any of these material commodities. Somehow or other I have to become free from the cycle of birth and death. That is our only goal. Where is the Supreme Lord here? They hardly think about the Supreme Lord. Because their intention is to get rid of suffering. So it is, we can call it, they may have an entrance society for getting rid of suffering consciousness. That is their anartha nivritti, or the getting rid of suffering. That is the jnani's goal. And due to that, they are very attentive to avoid sense gratification in this world. But nevertheless, they fall back. Just like the tiger or a lion is tied with a rope, anytime it can slap and run away into the forest. Similarly, the senses controlled by repression, suppression, by one's own ability, cannot remain restrained for a long time. They are telling the senses and mind, don't go in this wrong direction because that will give you suffering. But senses are not going to listen. They again and again fall back. That's what causes them to fall back, like Vishwamitra example Prabhupada gives. And when one goes to the platform of yoga, there one is amazed by the Supreme Lord's mystic powers. Oh, he can create millions of universes. He is such a powerful personality. So, in the jnana stage, there is no admiration of the Lord. There is only focus on getting rid of suffering. Whereas in yogi stage, now one has started seeing the form of Vishnu in the heart. Vishnu's greatness, Vishnu's abilities, Vishnu's skills. Then one thinks, God is very great because He can do all these things. If I can also do some of those, how nice it will be. Like many people say, oh, you have Mercedes-Benz car, you have a great soul. People say, no, that means what they want? What they want? Huh? Yeah, they also want to have. Yeah, when they appreciate somebody having something, that means subtly they also want it. Oh God, you are the greatest. You control so many living entities. You are powerful. So that's why Vishwamitra also tried to create the Trishanku Swarga. Okay, you are creating million universes. At least one I will create, and I also want to show. You can fly on sky. You can walk on water. I also want to do it. So the mystic yogis, their focus is on like Raja Yoga and Kundalini Yoga and all people do such chakra system. They want to very carefully observe the movements of the mind and lift the Kundalini to the Brahmarandhana and decide to go whichever planet they want to go, like Siddhaloka or somewhere. Or even if they meditate on the beautiful form of the Lord, their intention is to become very powerful, to become a great controller of the material world and possess powers. Some people say, he's a very great Baba. They say, he can do this, he can do that. So they get some kind of kick in getting such a fame or popularity or control or powers and superiority over the common people, like that. So they may focus on the Lord. At the most, they may aim at one of the five muktis. Chalokya, Samipya, Sarishti. He says Sarupya and then Salokya, Samipya. Salokya means in the same planet as the Lord. Sarupya means like Vishnu Dutas. And then Sarishti means opulences like the Lord. And then Sarupya means, Sarupya is the same form. Samipya means nearby. Salokya means same loka. Just like for example, if like we are all disciples of some guru. Somebody is a person servant of Guru, he gets Samipya. Correct, no? And Salokya means he lives in the same temple as Guru. Correct, no? Or somebody, Sarashti means Guru goes in Mercedes-Benz, he also goes. And same type of opulence. He enjoys like the Guru, correct, no? Yeah. And then? Sarupya. So Guru carries danda, sometimes Guru gives his danda to disciple, hold it. He can hold for some time. He looks like a sannyasi. People wonder, is he sannyasi? People wonder, isn't it? Isn't it? And then, and Saviji is rejected by the Vaishnavas, which is like sometimes one sticks to the body of the Lord like a parasite, and one thinks, I have become the Lord now. But then he falls back. Just like this fellow, our Kamadev, when he was burnt by Lord Shiva. She cried, Rati cried, went to Parvati and said, see what your husband has done to my husband. He has burnt him down. Parvati said, don't worry, Atma never dies. He will take one more form, don't worry. So that fellow then, after leaving the body, he, that the whole story of how, he entered into the, actually, you hear about that, he comes as Rukmani's son, correct, no? Later on his son, Pradyumna, comes as Pradyumna. He's reborn because soul never dies. He's reborn again. So in this way, you will find that these yogis, their desire to possess and control brings them to the five muktis like that. Whereas when we become bhaktas, what is the stature of a devotee? Devotee is not eager for material possessions, nor is the devotee eager to get rid of material bondage. Nor is the devotee eager to get rid of suffering once and for all and become Brahmalin. Nor is the devotee aspiring for five muktis also. A devotee's only aspiration is loving devotional service with no expectation in return. If Lord is pleased, Lord need not even know who did this service to him. I just want to see him pleased. If this service makes him happy, that is my only satisfaction. Like in Vrindavan, the wind is blowing on a very hot sunny day, but the Yamuna is giving water particles, garden flowers are giving fragrances. But then when Krishna experiences the joy of the wind, then everybody appreciates which one? The wind only. All covered by say, Krishna, today's wind is so nice, it is fragrant and it is very cooling, very nice. Although the Yamuna and flowers are remaining in the background, the wind gets the appreciation. And Yamuna and the flowers have no complaint. Hey, we added the flavor to the wind and this fellow is getting good name. They don't think like that. In the spiritual world, everyone is non-envious and non-ambitious, non-focused on fruitive results. They simply want to see the Lord pleased. So that is why bhakti is the highest path and the purest path. It's a path of love. And all other paths, either they're path of duty or some formality or with some selfish ambitions of getting rid of suffering and getting rid of control and all these things. But in the path of bhakti, there are no agendas attached, no strings attached in the relationship. Like Radharani is, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, is saying, that famous verse, Ashlishyava padaratam pinashtumam adarshanan marmahatam karotuva yata tata va vidadatu lampato mat prananatastu sayeva naparaha. My dear Lord, if you are pleased with my service, you may embrace me. If you are not pleased, you may trample upon me with your foot. Whatever you may do, you neglect me or you accept me, I will continue rendering service to you. Because my joy comes in seeing you happy. And my happiness is not of any consideration at all. So there is nothing higher than this. This is the highest philosophy. So in this world, all of us do something for our pleasure. I drink juice to give happiness to my tongue. I come under a shady tree to save myself from the scorching heat of the sun. Is it not true? I get a job to make money. I do bigger and bigger business to become a popular businessman or something. Everybody has some material motivation or desire to get rid of suffering. Atyantika sukha pravritti, atyantika dukkha nivritti. Put a full stop to suffering and expand happiness infinitely. Every jiva has this goal. But only a bhakta has only one goal. How can I see that Lord is pleased? If Lord is pleased, tat sukhi sukitvam. If He is pleased, I have no other ambition or aspiration. So when this becomes our driving force, this kind of consciousness, then the chanting can be pure chanting completely. Anything short of this, that is what is causing us some inhibition in chanting. During chanting, we face a lot of difficulty to control the mind. Manashashtani indriyani prakritistani karshati. Why? Because we have motivations on the karma, jnana, yoga platform. Karma, the motivation is material enjoyment. Jnana, getting rid of material suffering. Yoga means powers to gain powers and to control. So these are the things which are causing us the obstruction in pure chanting, peaceful chanting. At least we should be aware of it, and when these thoughts come in the mind, we can preach to the mind, oh foolish mind, you are never going to be happy with all this. When you become transparent and pure and pristine in your approach to Krishna with no other motivations, then you will become happy. Otherwise you are not going to become happy. And even for the 5 muktis, the devotee doesn't aspire. That is why it is said, muktim dadati karichitsma nabhakti yogam. About the Pandavas it is said, Lord became servant of the Pandavas, but mukti bhi de dete hain Bhagavan, lekin kya nahi dete? Kya nahi dete? Bhakti nahi dete. Why? Because if Lord gives you bhakti, He becomes servant of devotees. Whereas mukti is peanuts for Him. You can just throw it, take mukti and get lost. Do what you want. Be relieved of your suffering and be in the Brahmajyoti, relax. Lord can give it to any jiva, but Lord gives bhakti. He has to become Parthasarathi, servant of his devotee. He has to become servant of Nanda Baba. He has to become servant of Yashoda. Because bhakti makes the Lord servant of his devotees, Lord is very careful to whom to give it. Only when one approaches Him with pure love, then Lord says, this fellow has done beyond expectation of any jiva. Nobody can match this pure love. Because such pure love is shown to me, I give myself. The Lord gives. So that is why Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are teaching us to cultivate this aspiration and do the chanting of the holy name daily with this motivation in heart, which is the purest of the pure spiritual motivations. And when we walk in this path, we are in the right path, the ultimate path, glorious path, which is worshipped by even the greatest of the demigods. When Prithu Archi were going to spiritual world, they were showering flowers. And Parikshit was hearing Bhagavatam and ascending to the spiritual world, the demigods were showering flowers. Because they knew that we cannot do it, but some great soul is doing it. Let us shower flowers and glorify them. The pure devotion service is most glorified by everybody because of that. Harinam Prabhu ki. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are just like desert trees or ocean of mercy, full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki,